So first we're going to look at perimeter, and we're going to start with just shapes that have straight sides. Sometimes they're called polygons, just basically things that aren't circular first. So if we look at the formula sheet, kind of the top half, there's some formulas here for perimeter. So whenever it's P, we're talking about perimeter. But a lot of times we'll just kind of add up the sides. You can see some of these, like trapezoid just says sum of the sides, triangle, sum of each side. There is some formulas for rectangle and parallelogram. We'll talk about those, but a lot of times it's just adding up the sides. Like this one, 8.5 inches, 94 inches, even though we only see it twice. Well, the other side, the other vertical side would be 94. The other horizontal side would be 8.5 still. So we just add them up. You know, and I mean, you could write it out, 8.5 plus 94 plus 8.5 plus 94. But I'm going to write it out a different way in a minute. So if we add them all up, I get 205. Okay, so, oops. Perimeter is 205. And since we were just doing inches plus inches plus inches, I still have inches. Now, using the formula on your formula sheet says 2L plus 2W. So let's also do it this way for this one. So we'd be doing 2 times, let's say 94 is the length. 2 times 94 inches plus 2 times 8.5 inches. Okay, so you could do this all in one step in your calculator or do it one at a time. If you do it one step at a time, I'd have 188 and 17, which again, 205 inches. Okay, so let's apply this to a situation. If somebody needed to weld the perimeter of this rectangle, maybe it's the top of something, and they weld 4.5 inches per minute, how long will it take to weld around the whole perimeter? Okay, so if they can do 4.5 inches per minute, and they have to do 205 inches, okay, so this is going to have to be divide. And let me kind of write it out with why it would have to be divide. So 4.5 inches per minute. So remember back to our, how can we divide things that have fractions? We can flip it. So if this is 205 inches, and then we flip this, see how the inches will cancel out. And I would have to do, this is over 1, so 4.5 is on the bottom, so 205 divided by 4.5 is 45.56 about minutes, so about 46 minutes. Now, and you didn't have to do the whole writing it like the fraction and flipping it. If you just kind of can figure out, well, I have to take 205 divided by 4.5, that's great. I'm just kind of showing with the units why we end up having to divide by 4.5 because we want to cancel out those inches, figure out how many minutes. Just a little review back to unit stuff. Okay, now this one, so the next one, okay, this one has 6 different sides, so it's kind of rectangular, but it's not just a perfect shape. So I need to probably do some figuring out of these missing sides. So this vertical side that I don't know, well, if I have 3 1/4 and then the full amount is 8, I'll subtract that. 8 minus 3 1/4 should be 4 3/4 or 4.75. I'm just going to change it to decimals at this point. Same thing with the horizontal. If I don't know, let's switch to red here. If I don't know this side, so the top, the full horizontal is 15.5. So if I subtract 4.5, I'd be left with 11. And this is all feet. Okay, so now if I, this one, the way I'm doing this, I can't really just use a formula. I would have to just pick a starting point. Let's say this top corner, top left corner. I'm just going to go around 15.5 feet plus 8 feet. I'm just going all the way around the shape. Plus 4.5 feet, plus 3¼ feet. Ooh, and I'm going off my screen. Zoom out a little. Plus 11 feet, plus 4¾ feet. Okay, so if I add all these up, 15.5, 8, 4.5, 3.25, 11, 4.75, I'm getting 47 feet all the way around. So this could be like, let's say it's a room and we're putting baseboard in, and we have to figure out how much baseboard do I need. So I have to get the perimeter of the room. I would need 47 feet of the baseboard. Now, one thing I want to point out here, okay, there is kind of a shortcut sometimes to these. So if you can kind of picture this 11, if I just move it down and make it down here, and I take this 3¼ and I push it over to the side and I make it right here, it really is the same as if I had 15½, 15½, 8 and 8. So if you kind of just push those sides out. Now it doesn't work out this way if we do something with the area of this, but for perimeter, little shortcut if it works out the way the shape is. Doesn't always work, but for this one it would, because it would just push down that 11, push over that 3¼ and it'll just be the same as a rectangle calculation. But to be safe, I would just add up the sides. Find the missing sides, add them up. Okay, next one. This one's not on our formula sheet, just like the last one. There's not a rectangular, but not just 4 sides. Same thing here. This is a hexagon, 6 sides. So you have to like machine a bolt, something like that, and factor in perimeter for some reason. It's just adding up the sides. So all the sides are the same. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. I could add 5, 6 times, or in this case, I could just do 6 sides, 5 each. 6 times 5, this is going to be 30 millimeters. Will be my perimeter. So even when we don't get something that's perfectly on our formula sheet, just a matter of adding the sides. Notice though, still this, I'm doing 6 times 5 millimeters, doesn't change the unit, it's still just millimeters. Okay, how about the triangle? Same thing, just add up the sides. So I have 9 inches, 11 inches, and 13 inches. I don't need that 7, that's not a side. That dashed line, when you see something like that where it's dashed, it's usually just showing a dimension. Doesn't mean it's necessarily the side. So that would be like the height of the triangle, but not one of the sides, so I don't include that. So 9, 11, and 13 should be, 33 inches. So that is my perimeter.